Thermopylae. Hot springs, narrow pass, heroic last stands, and, honestly, terrible conditions for a vampire. Too sunny, too sweaty, too many angry Greeks. Hello, mortals. I am Silas the Immortal, and I have been alive for over 2,500 years. Which means when historians say, according to ancient sources, I say, yes, I was standing right there. Today I'll tell you the true story of the Battle of Thermopylae, 480 BCE, when 300 Spartans, some very brave allies, and one extremely tired vampire faced the massive Persian army of King Xerxes I. And yes, before you ask, I did try to bite a Spartan. Once, never again. Before the blood starts spilling, let's look at the board so you can see just how absurdly outmatched the Greeks actually were on paper. Look at this massive, terrifyingly large red blob stretching all the way from Egypt across the Middle East and into India. That is the Persian Empire. It was colossal, obscenely wealthy, and entirely under the thumb of Xerxes, who clearly lacked a relaxing hobby. Now, look all the way down here, tucked into the southern peninsula of Greece, the Peloponnese. That isolated little speck is Sparta, home to the most intense, fun-hating, military-obsessed gym bros of the ancient world. And right here, pinned between the steep cliffs of Mount Caledroman and the crashing waves of the sea, is our destination, Thermopylae. As you can see on the map, it is a geographical bottleneck. If Xerxes wanted to march his massive army down south to burn Athens and bully the rest of Greece, he had to squeeze his entire force through this exact narrow doorway. So let's set the scene. Year 480 BCE. Place, Thermopylae, meaning the hot gates, because there were hot sulfur springs nearby, which smelled awful, even worse than a Persian camp after 3 weeks without deodorant. You have the Persian Empire. Think of them as the ancient world's Amazon Prime. They delivered everywhere. They were massive, and their CEO, King Xerxes, had a serious god complex. Xerxes wanted Greece. Why? Who knows? Maybe he wanted better olive oil. So he gathers an army. Herodotus, a Greek historian who exaggerated more than a fisherman on Tinder, said it was millions. Modern historians say maybe 150,000. Still, a lot of people. Xerxes wanted revenge for his father Darius, who lost at Marathon. Greece, meanwhile, was, let's say, politically fragmented. City-states arguing, alliances shaky, egos massive. So the Greeks chose a narrow mountain pass, Thermopylae, where Persia's numbers wouldn't matter as much. Smart move, and also very dramatic. Leading the Greek force was King Leonidas of Sparta. Leonidas brought 300 Spartans, plus around 6,000 to 7,000 allied Greeks at the start. Now, why only 300 Spartans? Two reasons. First, Sparta was celebrating a religious festival, and second, the Spartans said, fine, we'll send the king and his personal guard, which is basically ancient Greece's version of hold my spear. Spartans were professional soldiers, trained from childhood, disciplined, and terrifying. I watched Persian soldiers see Spartans combing their hair before battle and ask, why are they grooming themselves? And the answer was, because they are preparing to die beautifully. I personally found that unsettling. Also, very shiny hair. Xerxes arrives. He parks his massive army and waits 4 days, assuming the Greeks will just wet themselves and leave. They don't. He sends a messenger demanding they surrender their weapons. Leonidas hits him with the greatest one-liner in military history, Molon Labe, which means come and take them. Ugh, the testosterone. You could smell it from the mountainside where I was hiding under a very thick blanket. The Persians attacked wave after wave and were slaughtered. Even the elite Persian unit, the Immortals, failed, which, by the way, offended me personally. Excuse me? Immortals? I've been dead since the Bronze Age and I still show up on time. These guys couldn't get past a wall of angry men in red capes. Anyway, for 2 days, the Greeks just stood there and turned the hot gates into a meat grinder. The Persian numbers meant nothing. The Spartans would fake a retreat. The Persians would break ranks to chase them, and the Spartans would spin around and, well, it got messy. One Spartan in particular, a fellow named Dienekes, was told by a local that the Persian archers were so numerous, their arrows would literally block out the sun. Most people would hear that, and, have a panic attack. But Dienekes? He just shrugged and said, "Good, then we shall fight in the shade." As someone highly sensitive to UV rays, I deeply appreciated that sentiment. Dienekes, you were all right. But humanity always disappoints. You can always count on someone to ruin a perfectly good stalemate for cash. Enter Ephialtes, a local Greek who knew the area. He went to Xerxes and said, "Hey, king god boss man, for a pile of gold, I'll show you the secret goat path that goes around the mountain." A goat path. The entire fate of Western civilization hinged on a trail usually used by livestock. I saw Ephialtes leading the Persians up that path at night. I thought about intervening, draining him dry right there. But I had just eaten a very rich Athenian the night before and I was feeling bloated. Plus, strictly an observer these days. Prime directive and all that. Day 3. The sun rises, the Persians are behind them, and the vibe is, completely cooked. Leonidas gets the news. He's flanked. It's a tactical nightmare. Now, any sensible person, including me, would have been halfway to the coast by then, looking for a very deep cave. But Spartans have this unique psychological trait where quitting just isn't a word in their vocabulary. Instead of a panicked retreat, Leonidas makes a choice that was as cold-blooded as, well, me. He realizes that if the whole army tries to run, the Persian cavalry will just mow them down from behind. It'll be a massacre. So he pulls a, "You guys go ahead, I'll split the bill" move. He dismisses the bulk of the Greek army, thousands of men, telling them to live to fight another day. But Leonidas stays, the 300 stay, and, crucially, 700 Thespians and 400 Thebans stay too. Don't forget them. The Thespians were hardcore. They refused to leave the Spartans. They knew they were dead, so they stopped fighting defensively. They marched out into the open area to take as many Persians with them as possible. Leonidas went down early. The fight over his body was intense. Eventually, Xerxes got tired of losing men, pulled back, and just rained arrows on the survivors until it was quiet. I came down from the mountain that evening. It was quiet, just the wind and the smell of copper. Even Xerxes was spooked by how hard they died. So did they win? No. They all died. It was a tactical defeat. But strategically? It bought Athens time to evacuate. It proved the Persians could bleed. It annoyed Xerxes so much he probably developed a peptic ulcer. It was a marketing victory. The story of the 300 was basically a massive wake-up call for Greece. It was like they finally stopped hitting the snooze button and realized, oh right, we should probably do something about the giant empire trying to kill us. A few months later, they smashed the Persian navy at Salamis, and the following year crushed the army at Plataea. Thermopylae wasn't about winning a fight. It was about sending a message, a very loud, very bloody message. Anyway, I'm exhausted. Reliving 480 BC takes it out of you. I'm going to go find a nice anemic accountant for a snack. If you enjoyed this stroll down memory lane, subscribe and ring the bell. It annoys me, but the algorithm demands sustenance much like myself. Until next time, try not to get invaded.